Caitlin Clark was not born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She grew up in a small, quiet town where dreams often seemed too big for the world around her. The streets were lined with modest houses, and everyone knew each other by name. Life. There moved at its own pace, slow and steady, like the river that flowed through the outskirts of the town. But Caitlin was different. From a young age, she had a fire burning inside her, a desire to do something meaningful, to make a difference in the lives of others. Her parents worked hard to provide for their family. Her father was a mechanic who spent long hours fixing cars, his hands calloused from years of labor. Her mother worked as a cashier at the local grocery store, always greeting customers with a warm smile despite the fatigue in her eyes. They taught Caitlin the value of hard work and perseverance. "Life won't hand you anything," her father would often say. "You have to fight for what you want." Those words stuck with Caitlin, shaping the way she approached every challenge life threw her way. As a child, Caitlin loved stories. She devoured books, losing herself in tales of adventure, courage, and triumph. But it wasn't just fiction that captivated her. It was real-life stories of people overcoming adversity that truly inspired her. She admired those who stood up for justice, who used their voices to speak for those who couldn't. By the time she reached high school, Caitlin knew exactly what she wanted to do with her life. She wanted to be a journalist, not just any journalist, but one who gave a voice to the voiceless, someone who could shine a light on the struggles and triumphs of everyday people. But pursuing her dream wasn't going to be easy. In her town, few people went to college, let alone pursued careers in fields like journalism. Many of Caitlin's peers settled into jobs right after graduation, content to stay close to home. Caitlin, however, refused to let go of her aspirations. She poured all her energy into her studies, determined to excel academically. Late nights became her norm as she balanced homework, extracurricular activities, and part-time jobs to save money for the future. Her hard work paid off when she received a scholarship to a prestigious university. It was a moment of immense pride for her family, but also one filled with uncertainty. Leaving her hometown meant stepping into the unknown. Would she fit in? Could she handle the pressure of such a competitive environment? These questions lingered in her mind, but Caitlin pushed them aside. She reminded herself of why she started this journey, to create opportunities not just for herself, but for others like her. College life was a whirlwind of new experiences and challenges. For the first time, Caitlin found herself surrounded by people from diverse backgrounds, each with their own unique stories. She soaked it all in, eager to learn and grow. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were days when she felt overwhelmed, doubting whether she belonged in such a demanding setting. Financial struggles added to the stress. Even with the scholarship, Caitlin had to take on multiple jobs to cover her expenses. Balancing academics and work left her exhausted, but she refused to give up. During her sophomore year, Caitlin joined the university's student newspaper. It was here that she discovered her true passion, storytelling. Writing articles about campus events and interviewing fellow students allowed her to hone her skills while making connections. One article in particular caught the attention of her professors. It was a heartfelt piece about a janitor at the university who had been working tirelessly behind the scenes for decades. Caitlin highlighted his dedication and kindness, shedding light on the unsung heroes who kept the institution running smoothly. The article resonated deeply with readers, earning Caitlin praise from both her peers and faculty members. Word of Caitlin's talent spread quickly, and soon she was offered opportunities to write for larger platforms. She began covering community events, profiling local activists, and addressing social issues affecting marginalized groups. Her work gained traction, drawing attention not only within the university, but also beyond its walls. People admired her ability to weave compelling narratives that sparked empathy and understanding. Caitlin's reputation as a rising star in journalism grew steadily, opening doors she never imagined possible. One day, an email arrived in Caitlin's inbox that would change everything. It was an invitation to appear on a popular morning talk show to discuss her advocacy work and recent achievements. At first, Caitlin thought it was a mistake. Why would a national television program want to feature someone like her? But as she read the email again, excitement bubbled inside her. This was her chance to share her story with a wider audience, to inspire others who might be facing similar challenges. The days leading up to the interview were a blur of preparation and nerves. Caitlin rehearsed her answers, practiced her tone, and picked out an outfit that made her feel confident. Yet no amount of preparation could fully calm the butterflies fluttering in her stomach. On the morning of the interview, she woke up early, her heart pounding with anticipation. As she rode to the studio, Caitlin reminded herself of the reason she was doing this, to remind people that they are capable of achieving greatness, no matter where they come from. When Caitlin stepped onto the set, the bright lights and bustling crew intimidated her. Cameras were positioned strategically, capturing every angle. The host greeted her warmly, easing some of her tension. As the countdown began, Caitlin took a deep breath, preparing herself for what lay ahead. Little did she know, this interview would become more than just a segment on a TV show. It would be a defining moment in her life, one that would touch the hearts of millions and leave an indelible mark on the world. The stage was set. The audience tuned in, and Caitlin's journey was about to unfold in ways she could never have predicted. What happened next would not only reveal her strength and vulnerability, but also ignite a movement of hope and inspiration across the globe. The studio lights were blinding, and the hum of the cameras created a strange kind of energy in the room. Caitlin sat on the plush couch across from the host, her hands clasped tightly together to steady her nerves. She had rehearsed what she wanted to say countless times, but now that she was here, live on national television, everything felt surreal. The host, a charismatic woman known for her ability to make guests feel at ease, smiled warmly as she began the interview. "So, Caitlin," the host started, leaning slightly forward with genuine curiosity. "You've been making waves with your advocacy work and your incredible journey as a journalist. Can you tell us a little about how it all began?" Caitlin nodded, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. Her voice was calm at first, almost mechanical, as she recounted the early days of her life in her small town. She spoke about her parents' sacrifices, the values they instilled in her, and how their example fueled her determination to succeed. But as she delved deeper into her story, something shifted. The rehearsed answers faded away, replaced by raw emotion. "I grew up in a place where dreams often seemed too big to achieve," Caitlin said, her tone softening. "My parents worked so hard just to keep food on the table. I remember watching my dad come home late at night, his hands covered in grease, and my mom always exhausted after long shifts at the store. They never complained, though. They taught me that no matter how tough things get, you don't give up." Her words hung in the air, resonating with the audience. The host nodded encouragingly, urging Caitlin to continue. And then, without warning, Caitlin's composure cracked. A lump formed in her throat as memories flooded back. Memories of sleepless nights spent studying under dim lamplight, of working multiple jobs while trying to keep up with assignments, of moments when she questioned whether she was strong enough to carry the weight of her ambitions. Tears welled up in her eyes, glistening under the bright studio lights. For a brief second, Caitlin hesitated, unsure if she should push through or pause to compose herself. But something inside her urged her to keep going. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about everyone out there who had ever doubted themselves, who had ever felt like giving up. I'm sorry," Caitlin stammered, her voice trembling. "It's just, there were so many times when I didn't think I could do it. College was harder than I ever imagined. There were days when I felt completely alone, like I didn't belong. I would call my mom crying, telling her I couldn't handle it anymore. And she would tell me, 'Caitlin, you're stronger than you think.'" The audience, which had been silent until now, erupted into applause. It wasn't the polite clapping reserved for formal interviews. It was heartfelt, emotional, and full of understanding. People watched intently, some nodding along, others wiping away tears of their own. Caitlin's vulnerability struck a chord deep within them. Here was someone who wasn't afraid to show her struggles, someone who proved that even the strongest among us have moments of weakness. The host placed a comforting hand on Caitlin's arm, offering her a tissue. "Take your time," she said, gently. "This is real. We're all listening." Caitlin took a deep breath, grateful for the support. She realized that this moment wasn't a failure. It was an opportunity. An opportunity to connect with millions of people who might be feeling lost, overwhelmed, or discouraged. With renewed resolve, she continued, her voice steadier this time. "What kept me going," Caitlin explained, "was remembering why I started. I wanted to be a voice for those who felt invisible. I wanted to tell stories that mattered, stories that could inspire change. That purpose gave me strength when I thought I had none left." She went on to share specific instances that tested her resilience. One story stood out, a particularly grueling semester when she juggled 3 part-time jobs alongside a heavy course load. Exhaustion became her constant companion, and there were mornings when dragging herself out of bed felt impossible. Yet, she persisted because she knew quitting wasn't an option. Every step forward, no matter how small, brought her closer to her goal. As Caitlin spoke, the atmosphere in the studio shifted. The initial awkwardness melted away, replaced by a sense of unity. Even the crew members, usually focused solely on their tasks, paused to listen. Caitlin's honesty created a bridge between her and the audience, breaking down barriers and fostering empathy. People saw themselves in her, their fears, their doubts, their hopes, and it made them feel less alone. By the time Caitlin finished sharing her story, the entire room was captivated. The host leaned back in her chair, visibly moved. "Caitlin," she said, her voice filled with admiration, "what you've shared today is incredibly powerful. You're not just inspiring others. You're reminding them that it's okay to struggle, that it's okay to cry, and that it's okay to ask for help. Thank you for being so open with us." Caitlin managed a small smile, still processing the magnitude of what had just happened. She hadn't planned to reveal so much of herself during the interview, but in doing so, she had touched hearts in ways she couldn't have anticipated. The audience responded with another round of applause, this one even louder and more sustained than before. Social media platforms began buzzing as viewers shared snippets of the interview, praising Caitlin's authenticity and courage. Backstage after the taping, Caitlin found herself surrounded by hugs and congratulations from the production team. Strangers approached her, thanking her for putting into words what they had been feeling but couldn't articulate. One woman, tears streaming down her face, told Caitlin that hearing her story gave her hope for her own future. Another man confessed that he had been on the verge of giving up on his dreams, but now felt motivated to try again. That evening, as Caitlin returned to her apartment, she reflected on the whirlwind of emotions she had experienced. She replayed the interview in her mind, analyzing every word she had spoken. Had she said too much? Was it unprofessional to let her guard down like that? But the overwhelming response she received suggested otherwise. Instead of being judged for her vulnerability, she had been celebrated for it. In that moment, Caitlin understood something profound. True connection comes from authenticity. By embracing her imperfections and sharing her truth, she had forged a bond with millions of people. Her tears weren't a sign of weakness. They were a testament to her humanity. And in a world that often prioritizes perfection, her willingness to be vulnerable was nothing short of revolutionary. As the days passed, Caitlin's impact continued to grow. Clips from the interview went viral, sparking conversations about mental health, perseverance, and the importance of representation in media. Viewers from all walks of life reached out to express their gratitude, sharing their own stories of hardship and triumph. Caitlin realized that her moment on live TV had ignited something far greater than she could have imagined, a movement of hope and solidarity. But this was only the beginning. What Caitlin didn't know yet was that her unexpected breakdown on camera would lead to opportunities and challenges beyond her wildest dreams. Her journey was far from over, and the ripple effects of her courage would continue to spread, touching lives in ways she could never foresee. The aftermath of Caitlin's emotional interview was unlike anything she had ever experienced. Overnight, her name became a household topic, and her story resonated with people from all corners of the globe. Social media platforms were flooded with posts about her bravery, her authenticity, and the way she had opened up about her struggles. Hashtags like #Caitlin's Courage and Real Strength began trending, as viewers shared how her words had inspired them to confront their own fears and insecurities. For Caitlin, however, the sudden attention was overwhelming. She woke up the next morning to hundreds of notifications on her phone, messages from strangers thanking her, journalists requesting follow-up interviews, and organizations inviting her to speak at events. At first, she felt a mix of pride and disbelief. How could one moment on live TV have such a profound impact? But as the days went by, Caitlin realized that her vulnerability had struck a universal chord. People weren't just moved by her story. They saw themselves in it. One particular message stood out among the countless emails and direct messages Caitlin received. It was from a young woman named Sarah, who wrote about battling depression while trying to finish college. "I've been stuck in this cycle of self-doubt," Sarah confessed. "But hearing you talk about your struggles made me realize I'm not alone. You reminded me that it's okay to feel weak sometimes because that's what makes us human." Caitlin read the message over and over again, her heart swelling with emotion. For years, she had dreamed of using her voice to help others, but she never imagined it would happen in such an unexpected way. The realization that her honesty had given someone else hope filled her with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt before. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about creating a ripple effect of positivity and encouragement. As Caitlin processed the feedback, she began to see vulnerability not as a weakness, but as a superpower. It allowed her to connect with people on a deeper level, fostering trust and understanding. In subsequent interviews, she leaned into this newfound perspective, openly discussing the importance of embracing imperfections. "We live in a world that often tells us we need to be perfect," she said during one appearance. "But perfection is unattainable, and honestly, it's boring. What truly matters is being real, being honest, and showing up even when you're scared." Her message resonated deeply with audiences. Viewers appreciated her candidness and admired her ability to turn painful experiences into lessons of resilience. One viewer commented online saying, "Caitlin doesn't sugarcoat things. She talks about the hard stuff, the things most of us are too afraid to admit. And somehow, she makes it feel okay." But Caitlin's journey wasn't without its challenges. As her popularity grew, so did the scrutiny. Critics emerged, questioning whether her emotions on live TV were genuine or simply a calculated move for attention. Some accused her of exploiting her struggles for personal gain, while others dismissed her success as mere luck. Reading these comments stung, especially since Caitlin knew how much effort and sacrifice had gone into reaching this point. At first, Caitlin tried to brush off the negativity, reminding herself that no matter what she did, there would always be people who disagreed. But the constant barrage of criticism began to wear her down. There were nights when she lay awake, replaying harsh words in her mind and wondering if she deserved the backlash. Doubts crept in, making her question whether stepping into the spotlight had been worth it. It was during one of these low moments that Caitlin turned to her support system, her family and close friends. Her mother, sensing her daughter's distress, called her one evening. "Honey," she said gently, "you can't please everyone. The fact that some people are criticizing you doesn't take away from the good you're doing. Focus on the people you're helping, not the ones tearing you down." Her mother's words hit home. Caitlin realized that she couldn't control how others perceived her, but she could control how she responded. Instead of letting the negativity consume her, she chose to focus on the positive impact she was having. She revisited the heartfelt messages she had received from people like Sarah, drawing strength from their gratitude and encouragement. With renewed determination, Caitlin decided to use her platform to address the issue of criticism itself. During a panel discussion weeks later, she spoke openly about the challenges of navigating public opinion. "Being vulnerable isn't easy," she admitted. "When you put yourself out there, you open yourself up to judgment. But here's the thing. If you let fear of judgment stop you, You'll miss out on opportunities to connect with people who truly need to hear your story. Her honesty earned her even more respect. Many listeners praised her for addressing a topic that so many struggled with silently. One man tweeted, "Thank you, Caitlin, for talking about this. I've been afraid to share my art with the world because of fear of rejection. Your words gave me courage to keep going." Caitlin also took steps to ensure she stayed grounded amidst the whirlwind of attention. She carved out time each day for self-care, whether it was journaling, meditating, or simply taking a walk in nature. These small acts helped her maintain balance and clarity, allowing her to stay focused on her mission rather than getting swept away by external pressures. Another pivotal moment came when Caitlin was invited to speak at a high school in her hometown. Standing in front of a group of students, many of whom reminded her of her younger self, Caitlin felt a wave of nostalgia. She talked about her journey, emphasizing the importance of perseverance and self-belief. "There will be times when you feel like giving up," she told them. "But remember this. Every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your dreams. Don't let setbacks define you. Let them strengthen you." After the speech, several students approached her, sharing their aspirations and asking for advice. One boy shyly admitted that he wanted to pursue music but worried he wasn't talented enough. Caitlin smiled warmly, recalling her own doubts during college. "You don't have to be the best right now," she reassured him. "What matters is that you start. Take it one note at a time, one song at a time. Trust the process and trust yourself." These interactions reinforced Caitlin's belief in the power of storytelling. By sharing her experiences, she was planting seeds of hope in the hearts of others. Whether it was through speeches, interviews, or casual conversations, her words carried weight because they came from a place of authenticity. As the months passed, Caitlin continued to evolve both personally and professionally. She learned to navigate the complexities of fame with grace, using her visibility to amplify causes close to her heart. She partnered with organizations focused on education, mental health, and community empowerment, leveraging her influence to drive meaningful change. Through it all, Caitlin remained committed to staying true to herself. She understood that vulnerability wasn't a one-time act. It was a lifelong practice. Each time she stepped onto a stage, appeared on a screen, or engaged with her audience, she embraced her humanity fully, knowing that it was her authenticity that resonated most deeply with others. Little did Caitlin know, her willingness to face vulnerability head-on would pave the way for even greater opportunities. Her story was far from over, and the impact she had begun to create would only continue to grow. But for now, she cherished the connections she had forged and the lives she had touched, grateful for the chance to inspire others to embrace their own journeys with courage and resilience. Caitlin's journey was no longer just about her. It had transformed into a movement. Her words, once spoken in the quiet corners of her own mind, now echoed across the globe, inspiring millions to take action in their own lives. As her popularity grew, Caitlin realized that she had been handed an incredible gift, a platform to amplify voices that were often unheard. She didn't want to squander it. Instead, she vowed to use her newfound influence to spread a message of hope, unity, and resilience. One of the first things Caitlin did after gaining widespread recognition was launch a mentorship program aimed at helping underprivileged youth achieve their educational goals. Growing up in a small town where opportunities were scarce, Caitlin understood firsthand how difficult it could be to navigate life without guidance or support. She wanted to ensure that no one else felt as lost or alone as she had during her toughest moments. The program, which she named Rising Together, paired students from underserved communities with mentors who could provide academic assistance, career advice, and emotional encouragement. Caitlin worked tirelessly to build partnerships with schools, universities, and nonprofit organizations to make the initiative sustainable. Within months, Rising Together gained traction, attracting volunteers, sponsors, and participants from all over the country. The impact was immediate and profound. Students enrolled in the program began excelling academically, gaining confidence not only in their abilities, but also in their potential to shape their futures. One participant, a high school senior named Marcus, wrote to Caitlin expressing his gratitude. "Before joining Rising Together, I thought college was out of reach for me," he said. "But my mentor helped me apply for scholarships, prepare for exams, and believe in myself. Now I've been accepted into 3 colleges, and I can't wait to see what's next." Stories like Marcus's fueled Caitlin's determination to expand the program further. She traveled across the country, visiting schools and community centers to share her vision and recruit more mentors. At each stop, she delivered powerful speeches that resonated deeply with audiences. "Education is the key to unlocking doors that seem impossible to open," she told a packed auditorium in Chicago. "But we can't do it alone. We need each other, mentors, teachers, friends, to guide us along the way." Her message extended beyond academics. Caitlin emphasized the importance of mental health, urging people to prioritize self-care and seek help when needed. During a panel discussion on youth empowerment, she opened up about her own struggles with anxiety and burnout. "There's so much pressure to succeed," she said. "But success doesn't mean pushing yourself until you break. It means knowing your limits, asking for help, and taking care of your mind and body." Caitlin's advocacy for mental health struck a chord with young people, many of whom faced similar challenges. Her openness encouraged others to speak up about their own experiences, breaking down stigmas surrounding mental illness. Schools and organizations began reaching out to collaborate with her, eager to incorporate her insights into their programs. Together, they developed workshops and resources designed to equip students with tools to manage stress, build resilience, and foster healthy relationships. In addition to her work with Rising Together, Caitlin continued to use media appearances to spread positivity and inspire action. She appeared on podcasts, wrote op-eds, and hosted webinars, always focusing on themes of hope and perseverance. Her authenticity made her relatable, and her passion made her unforgettable. Viewers tuned in not just to hear her story, but to learn how they could apply her lessons to their own lives. One of her most impactful interviews came during a live-streamed event hosted by a global nonprofit organization. The theme of the event was Finding Strength in Adversity, and Caitlin was invited to deliver the keynote address. Dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit, she stood confidently on stage, her presence commanding attention even before she spoke. "Life isn't fair," she began, her voice steady and sincere. "We all face obstacles, some bigger than others. But here's the truth. Adversity doesn't define us. How we respond to it does." She went on to share anecdotes from her own life, illustrating how every challenge she encountered taught her something valuable. Whether it was learning humility through failure or discovering strength through vulnerability, Caitlin showed that growth often comes disguised as hardship. Her speech culminated in a call to action. "Don't wait for the perfect moment to chase your dreams," she urged the audience. "Start where you are with what you have. Take one step today, then another tomorrow. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Remember, you're never truly alone. There's a whole world rooting for you." The audience erupted into applause, some standing to cheer while others wiped away tears. Social media exploded with reactions as viewers shared clips of Caitlin's speech alongside messages of gratitude and inspiration. "Take One Step" became a trending hashtag, with thousands of people pledging to take concrete actions toward their goals. Teachers used Caitlin's words in classrooms, parents repeated them to their children, and individuals reminded themselves of her mantra whenever doubt crept in. Beyond her public speaking engagements, Caitlin found creative ways to engage with her audience. She launched a weekly newsletter titled Notes of Encouragement, where she shared personal reflections, motivational quotes, and practical tips for overcoming challenges. Each edition ended with a question for readers to ponder, sparking meaningful conversations online and offline. Subscribers eagerly awaited every issue, finding comfort and motivation in Caitlin's heartfelt words. Caitlin also embraced social media as a tool for connection and change. She regularly posted videos offering advice, sharing updates about Rising Together, and highlighting stories of individuals making a difference in their communities. Her posts weren't polished or overly produced. They were raw and genuine, reflecting her commitment to staying true to herself. Followers appreciated her transparency and responded enthusiastically, flooding her comment sections with messages of support and gratitude. One particularly memorable post featured a video of Caitlin visiting a rural school as part of Rising Together. In the clip, she sat cross-legged on the floor with a group of students listening intently as they shared their dreams. When asked what she hoped to achieve in life, a shy girl named Lily whispered, "I want to be a writer." Caitlin smiled, warmly, encouraging her to keep writing and promising to read her stories someday. The video went viral, touching hearts worldwide and prompting donations to fund literacy programs in underserved areas. As Caitlin's influence expanded, so did her reach. Celebrities, influencers, and business leaders joined forces with her, lending their support to Rising Together and other initiatives she championed. Brands partnered with her to create campaigns promoting education, mental health awareness, and community service. Despite the growing scale of her efforts, Caitlin remained deeply involved in every aspect of her work, ensuring that her values stayed at the core of everything she did. Through it all, Caitlin never lost sight of why she started this journey: to remind people that they are capable of achieving greatness no matter where they come from. Her message of hope transcended borders, cultures, and backgrounds, uniting people under a shared belief in the power of resilience and connection. By the end of the year, Caitlin's impact was undeniable. Rising Together had reached thousands of students, empowering them to pursue their dreams with confidence. Her advocacy for mental health had sparked important conversations, leading to policy changes and increased funding for resources. And her words of encouragement had inspired countless individuals to take bold steps toward brighter futures. Yet Caitlin knew that her work was far from finished. Every success brought new challenges, and every milestone revealed fresh opportunities to make a difference. But she faced them all with the same unwavering spirit that had carried her this far. For Caitlin, spreading hope wasn't just a mission, it was a way of life. And as long as there were people in need of encouragement, she would continue to rise to the occasion, lighting the path for others to follow. Caitlin's efforts to spread hope and inspire others began creating ripples that extended far beyond what she had ever imagined. What started as a single moment of vulnerability on live TV had grown into a movement that touched lives across the globe. Her message of resilience, authenticity, and unity resonated deeply with people from all walks of life, sparking conversations and actions that transcended borders, cultures, and generations. One of the most remarkable aspects of Caitlin's journey was how her story inspired ordinary individuals to take extraordinary steps toward making a difference in their own communities. Take, for example, a man named James, who lived in a small town in Australia. After watching Caitlin's interview, he felt compelled to act. James had always dreamed of starting a free after-school tutoring program for underprivileged children in his neighborhood, but lacked the confidence to get started. Caitlin's words about taking one step at a time gave him the push he needed. I kept thinking, if Caitlin can overcome so many challenges, why am I letting fear hold me back? James later wrote in an email to Caitlin. With determination, he reached out to local schools and recruited volunteers to help launch the program. Within months, dozens of children were benefiting from the initiative, improving their grades and gaining newfound confidence in themselves. Inspired by Caitlin's mentorship model, James even incorporated peer mentoring, pairing older students with younger ones to foster leadership skills and camaraderie. Stories like James's poured in from around the world, each one a testament to the power of Caitlin's message. In Kenya, a young woman named Amina organized a community cleanup project after hearing Caitlin talk about the importance of taking action, no matter how small. I realized I didn't need to wait for someone else to solve our problems, Amina said during a virtual meeting with Caitlin. We have the power to create change right where we are. The cleanup not only improved the environment, but also brought neighbors together, strengthening bonds within the community. In India, a teacher named Priya decided to incorporate Caitlin's teachings into her classroom curriculum. She introduced weekly discussions based on Caitlin's newsletters, encouraging her students to reflect on their goals and fears. One student, a shy boy named Arjun, surprised everyone by sharing his dream of becoming an engineer. Inspired by Caitlin's emphasis on perseverance, Arjun began working harder in school and eventually secured a scholarship to attend a prestigious technical institute. Miss Priya told us that dreams are possible if we believe in ourselves, Arjun said proudly. Now I know I can achieve anything. These stories weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a larger wave of transformation ignited by Caitlin's advocacy. Her work with Rising Together continued to thrive, expanding its reach to include international chapters. Schools in Europe, Asia, and South America partnered with the program, adapting it to fit their unique cultural contexts while staying true to its core mission. Mentors and mentees formed connections that transcended language barriers, united by a shared commitment to growth and learning. But Caitlin's impact wasn't limited to formal programs or structured initiatives. Her influence seeped into everyday interactions, shaping the way people approached challenges and supported one another. Families gathered around dinner tables to discuss Caitlin's speeches. Friends sent each other links to her videos, saying things like, "This reminded me of you, I think you'll love it." Strangers struck up conversations online, bonding over their admiration for her authenticity and courage. Social media played a significant role in amplifying Caitlin's message. Her posts regularly went viral, inspiring hashtags like #Rise with Caitlin and "Together, we can." People shared photos of themselves taking steps toward their goals, whether it was enrolling in a course, applying for a job, or simply reaching out to a friend in need. Each post added to the collective momentum, creating a sense of global solidarity. One particularly heartwarming trend emerged when fans began organizing Caitlin challenges in their communities. These challenges encouraged participants to perform acts of kindness such as volunteering at shelters, planting trees, or writing letters to frontline workers. Participants documented their efforts on social media, tagging Caitlin and inviting others to join in. The challenges quickly gained traction, spreading to cities and towns worldwide. By the end of the year, thousands of people had participated, collectively completing tens of thousands of good deeds. Caitlin herself was humbled by the outpouring of support and creativity. "I never expected my story to inspire so much action," she said during a podcast interview. "It's incredible to see how people are using their voices and talents to make the world a better place. That's what this is all about. Empowering each other to rise together." Her humility only endeared her further to her audience. Despite her growing fame, Caitlin remained approachable and relatable. She responded to messages from fans, attended community events, and made time for personal interactions whenever possible. During a visit to a youth center in New York City, she spent hours talking with teenagers, listening to their stories, and offering advice. Many left the event feeling seen and valued, vowing to pay Caitlin's kindness forward. As Caitlin's influence grew, so did opportunities for collaboration. Celebrities, activists, and thought leaders sought her out, eager to partner in spreading positivity and driving meaningful change. Together, they launched campaigns addressing issues like climate change, racial inequality, and access to education. One notable partnership involved a global clothing brand, which donated a portion of its profits to fund scholarships for students participating in Rising Together. The campaign featured Caitlin alongside diverse voices from around the world, showcasing the universal nature of her message. Despite the whirlwind of activity, Caitlin stayed grounded by focusing on her original purpose, helping others realize their potential. She often reminded herself and her audience that success isn't measured by accolades or achievements, but by the impact we have on those around us. "It's not about being perfect or having everything figured out," she said during a TEDx talk. "It's about showing up, being present, and doing what you can with what you have. Every little bit matters." Her philosophy resonated deeply with audiences, earning her invitations to speak at prestigious events and institutions. Universities awarded her honorary degrees, recognizing her contributions to education and social justice. Award ceremonies celebrated her as a trailblazer, highlighting her ability to unite people through storytelling and empathy. Yet Caitlin accepted these honors with grace, always redirecting attention to the individuals and communities she represented. Behind The scenes, however, Caitlin faced her own set of challenges. Balancing her public responsibilities with personal well-being required constant effort. There were days when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, and moments when self-doubt crept in. But Caitlin leaned on her support system, her family, friends, and mentors, to navigate these ups and downs. She also prioritized self-care, setting boundaries to ensure she could continue giving her best to others without burning out. Through it all, Caitlin's resolve never wavered. She understood that true leadership isn't about avoiding difficulties, but about facing them head-on and emerging stronger. Her willingness to embrace vulnerability continued to inspire others to do the same, creating a cycle of empowerment that rippled outward. By the end of this chapter in her journey, Caitlin's legacy was undeniable. She had sparked a movement that transcended demographics and geographies, uniting people under a shared vision of hope and possibility. Her name became synonymous with resilience, and her story served as a reminder that even the smallest actions can lead to monumental change. Yet Caitlin knew that her work was far from over. As long as there were people struggling to find their footing, she would remain steadfast in her mission to uplift and empower them. For Caitlin, the ripple effect of change wasn't just a phenomenon, it was a responsibility. And she embraced it fully, knowing that every step she took paved the way for countless others to follow. As the years passed, Caitlin Clark's journey evolved from a personal quest for self-discovery into a global movement that inspired millions. Her name became synonymous with resilience, authenticity, and hope, a beacon of light for anyone struggling to find their way in life. But what truly set Caitlin apart was her unwavering commitment to creating lasting change, not just through words but through action. By now, Rising Together had grown into an international phenomenon, impacting tens of thousands of students across dozens of countries. The program wasn't just about academic success, it was about instilling confidence, fostering leadership, and nurturing dreams. Mentors and mentees formed bonds that transcended borders, united by a shared belief in the power of education and community support. Success stories poured in daily. Students who once doubted themselves were now excelling in school, securing scholarships and pursuing careers they never thought possible. Caitlin often reflected on how far she'd come since that fateful morning on live television. It seemed surreal to think that a single moment of vulnerability could spark such widespread transformation. Yet, as she traveled the world speaking at conferences, visiting schools, and meeting people whose lives had been touched by her work, she realized that her story was no longer just hers. It belonged to everyone who had found strength in her message. One of the most profound examples of this came during a trip to South Africa. Caitlin had been invited to speak at a youth empowerment summit in Johannesburg. As she walked onto the stage, she felt a mix of excitement and nerves. She had heard incredible things about the young leaders attending the event, many of whom were working tirelessly to improve their communities despite immense challenges. Would her words resonate with them? Could she truly offer anything meaningful? Her doubts vanished the moment she began speaking. "I want you to know something," she said, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "You don't have to wait for permission to make a difference. You already have everything you need inside you. All it takes is one step, one brave decision to start changing your world." The room erupted in applause, and Caitlin noticed tears streaming down the faces of several attendees. After her speech, a line formed as people waited to speak with her. One young woman named Thandi approached her, clutching a notebook filled with sketches and designs. "I want to be a fashion designer," Thandi confessed shyly. "But I've been told it's not realistic because of where I come from. Hearing you today made me realize I shouldn't let others define my dreams." Caitlin smiled warmly, encouraging Thandi to keep creating and believing in herself. Months later, she received an email from Thandi, who had started selling handmade accessories online and was using the profits to fund her education. "You showed me that my dreams are valid," Thandi wrote. "Thank you for helping me see that." Moments like these reminded Caitlin why she kept pushing forward, even when the weight of responsibility felt overwhelming. Every interaction, every connection, reinforced her belief that small actions could lead to extraordinary outcomes. Her mission wasn't just about inspiring individuals, it was about building a culture of empowerment, where people supported one another in achieving their goals. Despite her achievements, Caitlin remained humble and grounded. She understood that true leadership meant lifting others up, rather than seeking recognition for oneself. This philosophy guided her decisions, whether it was collaborating with organizations to expand Rising Together or turning down lucrative offers that didn't align with her values. Fame and accolades were secondary to her primary goal, making a tangible difference in people's lives. Over time, Caitlin's influence extended beyond education and mentorship. She became a vocal advocate for mental health awareness, environmental sustainability, and social justice. Her platform allowed her to amplify marginalized voices, bringing attention to issues that might otherwise go unnoticed. During a United Nations panel discussion on climate action, Caitlin delivered a powerful speech emphasizing the importance of collective responsibility. "We can't solve the world's problems alone," she said, her tone firm yet compassionate, "but together, we can create solutions that benefit everyone. Let's stop waiting for someone else to fix things and start taking ownership of our roles in creating a better future." Her words resonated deeply with policymakers, activists, and everyday citizens alike. Governments and corporations began implementing initiatives inspired by her advocacy, while grassroots movements gained momentum thanks to her encouragement. Caitlin's ability to bridge divides and unite people under a common cause earned her widespread admiration. Of course, her journey wasn't without its challenges. Critics occasionally questioned her motives, accusing her of being more interested in fame than impact. Others dismissed her efforts as naive or overly idealistic. But Caitlin refused to let negativity derail her. Instead, she used criticism as fuel to prove skeptics wrong, channeling their doubts into motivation to work harder and smarter. She also prioritized transparency, ensuring that her actions matched her words. Donations poured in from supporters, eager to contribute to Rising Together and other initiatives. But Caitlin implemented strict accountability measures to ensure funds were used effectively. Regular reports detailing the program's progress were made publicly available, earning trust and respect from donors and participants alike. As Caitlin entered her 30s, she began thinking about her legacy. What would remain after she stepped away from the spotlight? How could she ensure that the movement she had built continued to thrive long after she was gone? These questions led her to establish the Rising Together Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to sustaining and expanding her work. The foundation focused on training new mentors, funding innovative educational projects, and supporting emerging leaders committed to creating positive change. To mark the launch of the foundation, Caitlin hosted a global summit titled Empowerment Without Limits. Held virtually due to logistical constraints, the event brought together changemakers from every corner of the globe. Speakers included educators, entrepreneurs, activists, and artists, all sharing insights and strategies for driving meaningful progress. Caitlin closed the summit with a heartfelt speech that encapsulated her vision for the future. "This isn't about me," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "It's about us, all of us working together to build a world where everyone has the opportunity to succeed. My dream is to see communities rise together, supporting one another and breaking down barriers that hold us back. If we continue to embrace vulnerability, practice empathy, and take bold steps toward our goals, there's nothing we can't achieve." The summit ended with a standing ovation, both virtual and in person, as participants pledged to carry Caitlin's message forward in their own lives and communities. Social media buzzed with hashtags like Rise Together Forever and Our Legacy of Hope, signaling a renewed commitment to collective action. In the years that followed, Caitlin gradually stepped back from the public eye, allowing younger voices to take center stage. She transitioned into a role as a mentor and advisor, guiding the next generation of leaders while quietly continuing her work behind the scenes. Though she rarely gave interviews anymore, her presence loomed large in the hearts and minds of those she had inspired. Today, Caitlin's legacy endures. Rising Together operates in over 50 countries, reaching hundreds of thousands of students annually. Communities worldwide celebrate Rising Together Day each year, organizing events and activities aimed at fostering unity and empowerment. Textbooks include her story as a case study in resilience and leadership, teaching children the value of perseverance and authenticity. For Caitlin, the greatest reward wasn't the awards or recognition. It was knowing that her story had sparked a chain reaction of kindness, courage, and compassion. People from all walks of life carried her message with them, passing it down to future generations. And though she may have stepped out of the spotlight, her voice continues to echo in the hearts of millions, reminding them that they are stronger than they think, braver than they feel, and capable of achieving greatness. Caitlin's journey serves as a testament to the power of vulnerability, connection, and purpose. By embracing her struggles and sharing her truth, she transformed not only her own life, but also the lives of countless others. Her story proves that even in our darkest moments there is always light. And sometimes all it takes is one brave voice to inspire millions.